Greetings in the name of the Most High. Well, uh, it's who'd have thunk? The opening salvo down the tubes. So, should we keep score here, or what do you think? We want to do that? Okay, so I guess one for the Zeph report. I guess everyone said that Civil War is here. They thought that day it was going to go, and it was. So like I told you, and this is not rocket science. This is not studying. This is not psychic intuition. Even what it is basically common sense. That it's wrong to call the outcome of a war before it's fought. And so people say, "Well, we're at war." Yes, but we're not at outcome. Okay. I mean, some people are sounding the alarm because they feel that people are asleep and they want them to be awake. And I think everybody. Well, gosh, there may be people that don't realize we're at war, but that would be I guess that'd be a pretty sad, statement about um, humanity right now at this point. But we the so just to give you the dichotomy, just so you understand how much myopia is costing you. So during this time, there have been several new advances in technology in the chip sector, and some really big news there, driving the markets ever higher. And people keep thinking they're going to wait till the crash and then pick up the stocks cheap. And I'm like, no, you won't have anything to pick up if what you're envisioning is that you'll be able to be a player and go in and pick up the stocks. You'll be lucky if you can go and pick up a loaf of bread, let alone stocks. I use the stock market as an indicator, and I use the markets in general, currencies, stocks, ETFs, option market, all these various markets, cattle, commodities, cattle, corn, especially gold, silver. Bitcoin is another advancement in that space. The Winklevoss brothers have made a new breakthrough with their company. I think it's called Gemini. And so they intend to be the ground zero for crypto in America for BTC, and which is Bitcoin. And so that's coming online as a direct challenger to Coinbase. For those of you who follow or have any of it, and the main thing you need to know about Bitcoin is there's a fixed amount. I'll leave it right there. I needn't say another word about it. Well, where does it get its value? It's a fixed amount, and it has an intrinsic value, and it's a fixed amount. There's a fixed. Okay, let's go through it again. Supply and demand 101. If you have a limited supply and a higher demand, your product will go up in value. Well, how come this isn't like the tulip market where it just crashes because Bitcoin has no inherent value? Bitcoin is inherent value. That's what you don't see. The blockchain is the future. And whether we like it or not, the Bitcoin, crypto, whatever world, digital currency is going to be the future. Even if we equate it with the Antichrist or whatever, it's not going away. And so when they, how many people were gloating about Bitcoin being dead last week? The war being on, that's it. By the time Thanksgiving is over with, everyone's going to be completely, decimated. It's the Thanksgiving war. The left is launching on America. Well, the left does not represent all of America. Two sides, not one. Even if half your Republicans are all traitors, it doesn't matter. In the basic population, there are two sides to the story. and it hasn't been told yet. Again, yes, I understand they have access to weapons, they have access to all the goodies, and they can, decimate the cities of blue states, and the governors are trying to make a clear shot for them to come in and blow their own cities up so they can preside over the ruins. I don't know what makes people like that, but in my book, where I come from, those people wouldn't be what they wouldn't be governor. If someone wanted, listen, all you people that hate common sense, listen to this. If someone wants to blow my city up or let terrorists in to do it, because I think I'm going to get more power and money out of it, I would say that that person has disqualified themselves. They've committed sedition. They have broken the law, and they need to be in jail as enemy combatants, as terrorists, not as citizens, and should be given no due process whatsoever, or given the same due process you would give an enemy combatant from, say, Timbuktu or whatever. And if George Soros is conspiring to launch a Thanksgiving civil war, then Soros should be stripped of every ounce of his wealth, he and his son jailed, and that would be the end of them. Now, that's what I'm not going to be president. Okay. But that's what I would have already done that. It doesn't take a second grader to figure that out. I would have already done that. Of course, I'm not going to let them burn down the Palisades. My sympathy for the Palisades. I had some good memories of my childhood from surfing, and had a lot of friends in the Palisades, and kind of nice before we figured out what the world was. But anyway, there's a guy out there that's really active on this. He's done a really great job, and I'm sorry I forget his name. But you'll see him. He's the one guy holding up his fingers at the dam. And Palisades is also Malibu. It's also, properties worth, just the land alone, millions of dollars each parcel, with the properties off of it. And the scheme was to burn it down and build these 15-minute cities like they're building here in Santa Fe. Now, I've told you about that. We went over and over this. Over and over and over and over this. For years, we've been talking about this. Maui was the big, test. We went over and over and over and over and over it. And if the people there in Maui are linked to it, Josh Green, the governor of Hawaii, and Jeff Bezos, and some of these other rock stars, like I said, it's very shameful to watch. I'm a big fan of Sammy Hagar, and to watch my buddy there just kind of, mix cocktails while Lahaina burns was kind of his Marie Antoinette moment. I'm sorry I had to see that, but I seem to be the only one that thinks like that, like I do. I seem to be the only person that actually sees mixing cocktails while Lahaina burns on purpose as a Marie Antoinette moment in history, as a signifier of this struggle between one half of the globe and the other, of this war for freedom or enslavement, of this eternal war, of the inside of man being projected to the outside because he's too, without sounding like an idiot, but he's too he's too blind to see that much of the conflicts we get into with others, it's just others are ourselves. You understand? Like, these wars are not, it's a war within me. Within me, yeah. There's a component that wants to go to war. It doesn't matter who it's with. It's just part of the fall of man, which is throughout all literature, the fall of man, East, West, Buddhist literature, Christian mystic literature, the philosophers of the West. I mean, the Bible. It'd be very hard to not understand all these things. And so when I see people on the bandwagon and they're just going on and on and on about, we got to get these people, they've stolen. Well, now the latest is, of course, uh, the Democrats lie, but Republicans lie too. So now we have lies everywhere being inserted in everything. So Trump's now an Epstein pedophile, and he needs to be taken out by force. So that's the meme. Proud of yourselves? Now, who's going to quash that down? Not a pedophile. He may have been around, he may have been guilty of turning his back the other way when there were people guilty. And that's what I'm talking about when I say about the darkness of Trump. I mean, but then again, find me a human being who hasn't done that. 3, 1, 2. No, I won't wait because I'll have to wait here forever. So this is the irony of it all, is that everything that is going on is unnecessary. What's really going on is fourth turning. The fourth turning is not a youth movement. So whoever is out there saying that, the second turning, the third turning, all these turnings, each age, just let me re-educate a little bit. Each age is an age. It's everybody's movement. It's not a young person's movement. And that's why the young people want to overthrow the establishment in every country. The reason the young people are, pissed off and trying to join the left-wing establishment, moneyed, trillionaire club is, and then blow up their own cities, is because they think they'll get a seat at the table or they'll have sympathy. Let me tell you something. When you're that level of criminal, you have no sympathy. Every dollar you make, you're going to earn by doing bad things in the future if you're going to serve a party that thrives on murder, theft, and every satanic evil. And but the big crime, man, yeah, sometimes I get so frustrated. I gotta have the shades on today. Sorry, just because I'm it's very bright and I had all kinds of troubles here. But the big the big crime, the biggest crime, what is that? Oh, that's I'm sorry, I shouldn't let interruptions deter me. Forgive me, please. One of the reasons I like to, it's kind of out in the kitchen area, there's like a dining table there, and is because it really feels what's going on.
Mandy is here.
Okay. I'm going to get back to this. I've had a pause. I paused it from. No, I'm not being professional now, so I'm sorry. Do I cut it here and then try to get back the magic?
I would just keep going.
You want me to keep going?
Yes.
Okay, so the big crime here, the big mistake, the reason the world is like it is today and has maybe over your lifetime gotten worse and worse. Maybe it's gotten better. Maybe it's gone up and down. With me, there's been ups and downs, but usually as you tend to get older, things get worse. Anyway, why? Come on. Now I miss Frank. I haven't seen Frankie in a long time out there, and I wonder how he's doing. I'm starting to reminisce about the past, like an old man. Anyway, and I'm very happy that Charles has pulled through and was able to have Thanksgiving with his 300 million fans, or rather his 35 member family. Because I know and Charles, if you're listening, I was in the hospital during Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and it was so fucked up in there. It was so evil. I tried to write a book about it, and I destroyed the pages because I seemed to open up another portal toward. I went to the hospital again after writing those pages. Like they have a force that protects them. Of course they do. But there's just so much that I think you and I should do a podcast and compare notes on our hospitals, because people wouldn't realize it's not getting under care. You're being cared for, but if you're an old white male, you are being shuttled. They're trying to kill you and make it look like it was natural causes. Okay, can I just leave it there? So the number uno crime society has committed is against children. That is the trafficking, the raping, dismembering, killing, satanic ritual abuse, mind control, shaping generations. Oh, no, who was I talking about? Child abuse, like TPUSA. Oh, now we're thrown for a big loop. Okay, TPUSA, guilty. Because I know Calvary Chapel was guilty. So this just may be because humans are depraved, and that's what we do. But anyway, that's the sin that God says in Matthew 18:6. If you are committing that sin, you're not, obviously. They all believe they're saved no matter what they do to children. No, that's not true. If you sin against children and prevent them from coming to Jesus, as it says in Matthew 18:6, you should have a millstone around your neck. You should be drowned at the bottom of the sea. You should be used for target practice. But no one will do that. Why? Because it's so widespread. And I've done my bit to open up my own testimony about it, but my testimony is nothing unique. There's plenty of others, many survivors, many more than you would think, but they've been learned and they've been taught to just look the other way, and looking the other way has become the stumbling block of humanity. And that's why there are wars. That's why there's economies that don't work for people. That's why there's sickness. That's why there's limitation. That's why there's unhappiness. That's why there's suicide. It all goes back to that. And I'm sorry that that seems to be why is that so hard for people to learn? That doesn't make sense. Children grow up to be adults. And if you've already, if they're traumatized, if they have PTSD from, being sodomized and passed around to family members, or trafficked, or put in porno, or even even in snuff films, where other people knew about it or saw it or participated. If you participated in a snuff film, which usually involves children, because the real Satanist, as Aleister Crowley points out, needs a child to sacrifice. And basically all Satanists are predators. They're all looking for either to abuse the child, sacrifice the baby, cause the the good guy that's trying to make society better for all, cause him to stumble in some kind of, tawdry tryst of some sort so that his career is ruined, and in general, ruin every single person who ever tries to help humanity at all away from this one problem. And all the rituals, making fun of sex, all the sex, drugs, and rock out with your cock out, and all that stuff. All that kind of stuff that demeans something God didn't intend for that is also the same abuse. You just abuse yourself. Usually, you abuse yourself to get up the ladder in society. But I don't need to tell you that. You know all that. You take on a persona of a real wild sexual character, predator character, and then it's only been recently that there's been any consequence for people who have been, dabbling in such things. But usually they use that to set people up and to blackmail people and to make sure that they, not the blower, to make sure that they don't, doesn't he understand that if I'm on the mic here, so it becomes a blackmailing tool that becomes a vetting of society. Is he one of us? Yeah, he's a sinner like the rest of us. Oh, good, come on in. Okay, well, that right there is the reason the world's the way it is. I would think people would celebrate it and really enjoy Thanksgiving and all the Christmas trees and lights and all the fun for kids and the football games and all the stuff, the spirit of Christmas. The other reason the world is like it is because of a thing called unforgiveness. Oh, no, don't think I'm just mean about other people. We don't forgive ourselves. But if you don't have the Spirit of God with you, you can't forgive yourself. How can you forgive yourself, really? Unless you've been forgiven. But then the Lord says, as a show of loyalty, you like to sneak that word loyalty in there. Go forgive your mother. Go forgive your father. Go forgive your mean coach who pushed you too hard and then kicked you off the team. Go forgive your ex-girlfriend. Go forgive the witches you've known for throwing whammies on you, trying to kill your life because you broke their hearts. You got a lot of work to do, but no one's doing. You think TPUSA is working on this? I've got this thing now between my teeth. I can't let it go. So I've seen the devil. I know the devil. I know who he is, when he is, and where he is, pretty much all the time. And I don't think I'm mistaking what I'm saying. I don't think it's subject to your opinion. I don't think it's subject to debate. It's like if it walks in, quacking and waddling around like a duck, well, you know what they say. So it just is what it is, and it's so evil. I just feel like, I feel so, they're damn propaganda. They're I guess, are we calling that Zionist propaganda now? Well, whatever it is. Someone had a meme, to say you're all warning everybody about the New World Order when you've already been enslaved by Zionism. And there's a lot of truth to that. But when you say Zionism, to me, you have to say modern Zionism. You cannot just say Zionism because it's confusing. There's been 3 other times in history the word Zionism meant something different. So Zionism, in this context, is a political term. That means that that just states that the political body of Israel, most of whom are Satanists. Can you be chosen and be a Satanist? Are you the chosen people if you're with Satan? Are you the chosen people if you're a God-hating liberal? Are you? All you Jews with liberals, are you the chosen people? I can just tell you unequivocally, the chosen are with God. You know, the chosen are the it's just very simple. You know, many are called, few are chosen. Those chosen are with God. And the chosen, if you want me to get specific about it, and we get a lot of you mad at me, the chosen are the meek. You titans of industry, you can forget about it. You're just gonna burn. Actually, I don't know what's gonna happen to you. I don't know what's gonna happen to anyone. I know this, that I have a hard time, you know, facing death. And, you know, having the Lord to go to, what do I mean go to? I mean prayer, scripture, other people, sharing, you know, just praying for people that are sick and seeing them, you know, recover. You know, all those things help us understand what reality is. Reality is not the reverse world. And that's why I could say something like the Civil War, it may well, you know, be executed fine. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It could be, who knows what date they want to put on it now, but it looks like they're pretty frustrated. And as I said, it could go any direction. This last little attempt, I think, was to grease the wheel, get get everybody else who's got guns to start shooting at the National Guard wherever they are in whatever city, and that fizzled out like you know, a wet fuse, right? And we just talked about that. The lizard index was very high before that hit. I have to toot the lizard index horn. And then after they hit, the lizard index went down. But they hit backfired. I think we can all agree on that now. Finally, we can. I hope we'd stop, you know, just saying the war is going to, you know, kill all of you because you're not paying attention. I'm just trying to say we don't know the outcome of anything. If you want to go on who deserves what, we deserve to be obliterated. So that's not a good criterion. And so, but like I said, you know, your president has got no points on the board. I give him some points here for this banning of you know, people coming here, but what about the people here? I would go nuts. I would like, if the press does one more insurrection, they would be, you know, the in jail in federal prison with the key thrown away. Period. And with no hope of getting out, no hope of a trial. So I'm not the guy. I'm like, okay, if there's a problem, stomp them to death. You know, I don't have enough compassion to sit down at the negotiating table like Trump. I mean, yeah, Trump compassion that he's put, you know, peace as a priority, which is what, you know, definitely what anyone that follows Jesus should do. It's one of his good points. So he may have some bad points and covering for friends that shouldn't be covered for, but he's got, you know, good points as well, which is, you know, that he wants peace, which in a president is a very rare thing. And for all you people that hate Trump and want to give a litany about why you hate the Cheeto man and all that, the Cheeto baby, you know, give me, are you going to run for president? Of course not. Are you going to run for office of any kind? Well, then what are you talking about politics for? Are you going to get a podcast to comment on it? Tell people how awful Trump is? And, you know, no, look, I'm calling balls and strikes on Trump. I'm not anti. I'm not for. I'm not really a great patriot for this country or France or, you know, Brazil or whatever. I'm, I'm just trying to get through this thing. But when I see people taking these extremes, when I see people in the same family going to shoot each other over Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas or something because of this TDS, and then there's no mental health push to fix it because the rich guys like Soros want TDS. So that's my take on it. Anyway, you don't know the outcome. Okay. And so was there hope? There's always hope. There's always hope that we, as screwed up as we are, may make a couple of good moves here. But we have to do them. You can't just hate on Trump or even hate on Biden or hate on anybody. You have to, if they do something good, the president, somebody, it should be acknowledged. But most of the time, there's problems. And one problem that Trump has is he can't be everywhere at once. But anyway, his policy of, banning the Afghans and, basically the third world terrorists, which is, if you really want to look at it right, most people in countries hostile to the United States that have terrorist problems hate the United States, the entire country. The entire country. Like you'd see that the good example would be Afghanistan. And then there's other, third world countries that maybe it's not the entire population, like perhaps Syria or something. But a good deal of people, of very dangerous people, and they're mainly terrorists, would love to come here on George Soros's private jet. And, with all the thousands of sleeper cells, start just tearing it up and do it asymmetrically so that the army can't catch you. So they go to the next spot where you blow something up. They're already doing it again somewhere else. And so nobody can get anything done. And you can never get anything done with Republicans versus Democrats. There either has to be some cohesion or you have no country. And people say, well, it's illegally founded. Well, how are you going to be in the Bernie Sanders official food line? Are you going to get a T-shirt? Are you going to enjoy those food lines? I was checking at the food bank. We gave some food to the food bank, and they're swamped and they're out of food. So what are you going to do? One bad month here in the U.S. and you're all pretty much scrambling for food down at the food bank, but they're fighting over it down there. What are you going to do? And so yeah, the enemy is salivating, thinking they're gonna have they thought they'd have a quick victory. They thought that it's a really hard thing to just go shoot somebody in cold blood. To just take a gun and come up to where the National Guard are. Here they're not far from my house. Go to the National Guard and just get a spot, right? Say you've had some training in marksmanship and sniping and whatnot. Take yourself a spot and take out 3, 4, or 5 of them in cold blood. Not every American is going to go along with that, whether they're left or right. They're just going to pick up arms and start shooting the local police. They're going to pick up arms and say they're going to shoot the local police and local law enforcement until some of these Salvadoran and Tren de Agua people are returned to the United States where they have lives. You're going to really die on that hill? Is that because that means you have no country, you have no life, you have no family, you have no purpose to live, and you should have been aborted because your logic of abortion applies to you. Yes, you. You need to be aborted because you wound up with a big zero. Your contribution is a big zero. Haven't we ever heard of, being grateful to have a place to live so we contribute to the safety and beauty and whatever of it to strengthen it for future for our kids. Have we ever thought what happened to that concept? Anyway, I don't want to lecture anymore. I'm sorry. This old man lecturing. Nothing could be more boring. So forgive me. But I did say that, about the Civil War they tried to kick off that, we had the lizard index up there for that day, but then it came crashing down because, something went, the wheels came off. These guys have a lot of money invested in the new technology, which is bigger than the Industrial Revolution, bigger than any revolution that there's been. That's why that many are calling it the Golden Age. Do you think that these guys would like to kiss all that goodbye, including infrastructure, and do you think they want to not know what the outcome is? The whole market, the whole world thrives on certainty. They need a certain outcome they can predict. And when the outcome is uncertain, that's when markets collapse, when things are uncertain. So I suspect what you're going to see is that, they're going, and this is what Trump has to do. Prosecuting the young man that shot the National Guard is not going to fix his midterm problem. So he's going to have to really start what I would do. This is just me. You want to elect me? I've got, I'm not the best person. Like I said, I could be pretty ruthless. You don't have a heart, you just kill people? No, I would say excise the problem from the society. If somebody is advocating burning the place down, they'd be removed. But see, then again, I'm thinking that seems to be something they tell you that only some right-wing bigot would say. And so I give them this. They're very tenacious in their double, gobble, gobble. It's double. It's that forked tongue, right? It's that forked tongue. Very easy to manipulate. And the people that work for Satan, it's hard for me to actually, I don't even want to characterize how I feel about that. I don't really, I would always rescue one drowning, and even if my dog and a fellow human are going down the river, I'll probably have to try the human first and then kill myself getting my dog. But, I in the hopes that they would awaken. Yeah, it's true. Everyone has to live on this planet. This planet is not George Soros's planet. This planet does not belong to Bill, the fucking, child demigod Gates. This planet does not belong to the Republicans or the Democrats or the left or the right or any of the rest of the clowns. And there is a God. And if there were no God, they would have succeeded already. You'd already be in prison or dead or your organs excised. It would already be a done deal, your children thrown into slavery, sexual slavery, snuff films, and the rest, prostitution, and the rest of it. Of course, because that's what you're dealing with. But people that have that kind of moral fabric have bad taste. They have to hire architects and designers and clothing designers and to surround them with beauty that they can't comprehend because they haven't lived a real life, because they can't balance a checkbook, because they don't know what a color palette is, because they don't know what the history of art is, because they don't know what a good I just can tell you a story about what happened in Beverly Hills this one time. And I know I got a couple of friends out there, you guys would remember this. It goes way back to the 70s. There was the son of Sheikh blah, blah, blah. And he bought 2 giant properties on Sunset Boulevard, right in the heart of Beverly Hills, just right visible to everybody, And he connected the 2 two mansions, and they connected the two. So it was like almost having like another hotel or some, just this huge thing. And he wanted to paint, and he painted using his art skill and his ethos. Okay, and I'm not putting it down, by the way. I love Middle Eastern art. So, but he used his mentality to paint the there were like male and women figure statues, as I recall. Now, if I have it wrong, you can write me. But I think he was putting in he painted in like the pubic hairs and it got so blatant in a way, and the skin, brown, not white skin, brown skin, and it was really gaudy. It was like lots of gold and lots of jewels and lots of, it's you'd have to know what I'm talking about to understand, but you can look it up on online and see it. And when but he made a big statement. Like people would be photographed. It became a tourist item where people would stop there and take pictures of it and share them. It became a very loud, big thing and lots of complaints. And then the father visited, Sheikh blah 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 Mohammed, this or that, one of the top Saudi leaders, and he was so embarrassed he forced his son to, I guess, sell everything and get the hell out of there. He pulled it from the market. He was just drowning in embarrassment for his son, and his son didn't think he did anything wrong because he's just in his own context. He's just in his Middle East has a great history of art, but it's not the Western style. Anyway, people went crazy complaining and magazine articles. I mean, you can imagine. And so it just goes to show that the unawareness, I guess, of the world, unawareness of the similarity of people to people. And today I had a thought about my cells, that I know everything about. I felt connected to the whole history of. It's like, gosh, all these voices are just one, and I could see it through the cells. I could feel it through the connection in cells. I'm like, we're all the same. So what gives? And in comes the dragon. The soul's man. It's a big deal. And by the way, they started building these same compact cities here that they're doing in the Palisades, and but they're doing it without burning anything down. These places are awful. They look like little prison cells. It's like, it's like, what was that, District 9, that Australian movie? It's like each one of them is like a project. And there's no one living in them. They're leasing them out. They're cheap, but no one lives there. They're just building them and they're just sitting there empty. So they got plans, folks. They got plans. The other thing is you've got the fervor over Atlas, Three Eye Atlas, and people are going nuts on that. The UFO thing has gone off the hook. And you have, all this chaos in a sense going, but it's not chaos. It's very smooth. And that's why I say I don't think the outcome is going to be exactly what people think. This kind of binary war thing to be the dominant thing. And it looks to me like there's just too many people that, they're just have a check. Should I go kill a National Guard? National Guard's off duty on a Sunday with his family at the ice cream store. Should I just go gun them all down and congratulate myself? And most people, I don't think, would do that, unless I'm really reading it wrong. Unless I'm an angel, and everyone else is just shit. which I doubt that's the case. So, so anyway, I also had this dream, and I want to share it with you. I dreamt, well, actually, I can't describe it right now, but the dream went all night to complete it, and it had to do with the people living under the earth were kidnapping people on the surface and dragging them down under the surface of the earth. They'd go missing. And they trained them to not have any desire for anything. No desire for comfort, no desire for family, no desire for lovers, no desire for children. Nothing really, nothing. And they became, I suppose, very docile, but this plan went on with the whole world, and the whole world became this kind of obedient, non-combative, desireless soul. It wasn't that they were consenting to anything. They were just being transformed into desirelessness, which is actually one of the high aspirations of the Buddhist religion, is to get rid of desire, right? And in the end, I felt it was a lesson about I suppose that represented the modern day utopia, because you could stick them in these little, 150 square foot, like a bed and a sink kind of a apartment, jail cell. And they wouldn't give me any trouble. And they were able to be kept downstairs, kept out of the light up here, kept underground. For what purpose, we don't know, but it was all for whatever the purpose would be. These humans had become compliant and would do whatever you tell them to do. But you don't tell them, you just indicate to them what you want, and they do it. And I was able to see what the war is all about. That's what they would like for us. And freedom doesn't necessarily mean doing the right thing. It doesn't necessarily mean peaceful people. It doesn't necessarily mean the right choices. It doesn't necessarily mean a conscious individual who's going to look out for the benefit of others and those not as fortunate as himself. It doesn't mean any of those things. It could mean just the opposite. But there's that striving in the spirit to be free. And this civil war has no plan on rebuilding. Are they building those compact cities of these apartment houses? I mean, they're just building tons of them. I can't believe how much they're building around here. All empty, and then hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And no, they're not all empty, but I mean, it's amazing. Anyway, you just wonder, if that's, would that be good enough for people to live in that kind of squalor? So I'm going to put the Lizard Index today at definitely. I had it at 3, so we'll just leave it at 3. You've got to look out for people that are every year at this time. The targeted stalking of individuals by police, intelligence agencies, and evil experimenters. This time of year it gets really ramped up, and they're able to do things that are interdimensional. Let's put it that way. And if they can, and one of the things they like to do, and everything that's in gang stalking, I call it, even though that's a euphemism, or electronic stalking, everything that's involved in that is really involved, not just AI. What's AI? What's AI all about? AI is all about predictive programming and, perfect psychic communication. It's about being able to generate a psychic signal to millions of people that have the same thought at the same moment and act on it without having any wires, any chips. It's a signal. And so this is, I suppose where it's headed, but their experiments have continued on. And usually what they do is, they'll get people getting out of jail, ex-cons, people on the wrong side of politics that used to be on the left. They would go after the left. They got me in LA, and I never could figure out who put me on any list, but someone had to. And that was, I saw whole buildings change, people change, addresses change, reality itself change right before my eyes. And, I had to get out of LA because it was like 1 million people against one. How can they coordinate that many people, you might ask? Well, how can they be all the way across the world? And when you get off the plane, they go, "We've been waiting for you, Zaf. We're starting it up again. Take a look around. They're all looking at you. How long do you think you're going to last in this town, buddy?" "No, I'm going to last to see you in your grave, motherfucker." I'm too old to talk like that. See, I can't back it up. Anyway, let's call it a day. I had more that I was going to say about what's going to happen in the future, but I think now it's the time of reconnoitering. No, they're not going to give up ever, but they also tried within the last week a financial collapse, and they tried a random quote random shooting. And all I can say about that and the way this has gone is that was not the outcome they were looking for. So it's, back to the drawing board. It also means things will get more risky and more dangerous. So the Lizard Index could be at a 2, but you still, flying to New York tomorrow, maybe it goes up to an 8 for you. I had to get one of those little plastic things, like a thermometer. You look at it, and it's the Lizard Index, and it goes up and down, and it tells you exactly where you're at. But if it's high, I put a warning out. Don't, watch out for people that want to steal your timeline. There's a lot of that going on. Stolen identity and stolen timelines. That's a gang stalking thing, by the way. Stolen valor to see a destiny in you and steal it for themselves, and then leave you falling on Skid Row while they go to glory. Not going to happen with a strong faith in Jesus. Not going to happen. Well, I know, but they can look at me and they say, "Well, you've been in the hospital. You all these things happen." Yes, but I don't blame that on any one person. And if anyone takes the blame or takes responsibility for hurting me, then they're going to have to deal with the entire kingdom of heaven. The Most High God. They're going to have to deal with. They're going to have a great deal of difficulty. It's just not something I just wouldn't. I know people hate so easily, but it's not worth the consequences. With that, Jew Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, by the way. No, I don't reject Judaism. It's not my religion, but I'm not in favor of Zionism as it is